Cashamaniacs.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome back to Geo Gearheads, episode 393. I'm Daryl W4, back as usual with Chris of the Northwest, and we do have a special guest. But before we invite him in, Chris, how's it going over there?
It's going very well. And Daryl, you know, the Randomize episode is one of my favorite episodes, but not only because we have a lot of let's say unrelated topics, but all related to geocaching in one way or another. But one of my other favorite things is our guest. We have C. Michelle in this morning. It's morning to you, isn't it?
It is. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Daryl. Yeah, 11 a.m. here on Friday morning today.
Oh, so there is a tomorrow.
There'll always be a tomorrow as long as Australia is alive and well. No, it's a beautiful day out here today in Australia. Gorgeous.
If only we could get some of that
last
weather.
time we saw each other face to face, were you at the Giga in Cincinnati?
Yeah. I was just looking through my Facebook memories the other day, and I actually saw the photo I had with you guys at the was it the street party one?
Yeah, it was that very first street party. I think that's really the only time we get to spend any real time together, though.
Yeah, it was.
It was such a busy,
so busy.
5 days?
Yeah, about 5 days it was. Yeah, it was incredibly busy.
8 days a week, something.
Yeah. But I've got some more news coming up later, in the show if you like. It's quite surprising. Yeah.
Ooh, oh man, you can't just tease that and go on. Okay, let's do that. Let's just tease it and move on.
Yeah, tease it and move on because
we got really important and not very random stuff to talk about today, which is the mystery at the museum, which is not random at all.
No, so it just started today on.
It did.
For those watching at home, it's 7-Eleven Day now. See, Michelle, you may not know what 7-Eleven Day is.
I can guess because you guys say the date backwards, but that's all right.
It's 11/7 Day to you, isn't it?
Correct. It is.
We have a store out here called 7-Eleven, and one of their most popular products is called a Slurpee.
Yes,
and today they give away free sample Slurpees. Now, this one I stole from my son. I'll admit I didn't get out to get one. I was out and I didn't think about it.
Yeah, and they have special super nano cups that they use for the Slurpee Day.
They're supposed to be 7.11 ounces.
Oh, is that what the trick is?
Yeah, that's a special size cup that, I remember a few years ago I took my children. I know this is randomized. It all works.
Yeah, you guys in your imperial, like these ounces and cups and inches and feet. Yeah. It's just,
it's all to confuse the rest of the world.
That's right. And yourselves, actually.
No, we pretty much know it, but we can't figure it out well. We just can't convert it to anything else.
Exactly.
Keep us isolated. In charge.
Individuals, yes.
Anyway, a couple of years ago, I took my kids in, and there were frat boys, college students in front of us, and they had grabbed the biggest cup available and filled it up, and they're like, wait, we have to pay for this one? Yeah, it's just the little ones that we're giving free.
Well, we have 7-Elevens over here, and we have the same sort of. Yeah, we do.
Are the 11/7s though?
No, they're 7-Elevens. They're still called 7-Elevens. Yeah. The brandings are still the same. But we actually have $1 slushy days, and you can actually bring in any container you like for $1. And we're talking actual trash cans. People bring in trash cans. As long as it fits
under the nozzle, right?
Yeah. And you can fit pretty much anything under that nozzle with, a bit of a tube.
Well, see, out here they actually do make they actually require it to fit, securely under the
without any hands, without holding.
No, you can still hold it, but it has to fit, all the way back against the ledge and everything. You can't have it overhang.
You Americans and your rules.
Yeah, exactly.
People take advantage of these things.
Exactly. I brought a piece of gutter just for that purpose, so I could load up my swimming pool, and off we went. Yeah.
Exactly. No, give you brain freeze anyway.
Swimming and Slurpee.
Mm-hmm.
I should do it one time, right? On $1. No. No, I will not.
I don't think that you could actually keep the Slurpee solid enough to fill a swimming pool.
Oh, I could find a way, Daryl.
There's
How about liquid
chemicals for that.
nitrogen?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Liquid nitrogen underneath the pool to keep
Or
everything
in the pool.
Or in
Yeah.
the pool.
Yeah, just stick it
Yeah.
right in the pool.
I was going to say, I've seen YouTube channels. Oh no, that was Jello.
Yeah.
They do swimming pools of Jello and try and swim in it. Yeah. YouTube's a wonderful thing late at night, isn't it? When you go down that rabbit hole.
Yes and no.
Right.
It's wonderful and terrible.
Yes, it keeps you awake at night.
So, mystery at the museum.
Yes.
Yes. And did you catch what John just posted in the chat?
Let's see.
He says he tried for the defective and just got the rest. Very cool. So, we've been kind of speculating how this is going to work for several weeks since we heard about it. I did actually get out and find a few myself. I'm kind of annoyed and kind of impressed at the same time about the whole thing.
Well,
really?
what's annoyed you?
Well, before we get into this too much, we actually did hear from Limax. He called in. He sent us an audio file recorded on his phone. So why don't we catch his audio before we get too far?
This is Limax. I am at the site of where I just found a cache to get the detective clue. As a result of getting that clue, I now have 3 more clues opened up to me: the footprints, the shadow, and the fingerprint. I have to find 2 of each, and it looks like that's the only way you can get in order to unlock the next step, which I guess is recovering the jewels. It's interesting now because some of the caches before that were showing unknown clues, or actually they're showing hidden clues, are now showing the clues that I need. In fact, there's a footprint clue right near me, although I don't have time to go get it. This is a very interesting and intriguing way of doing it. Not my usual style of caching, since I like to go seat of the pants most of the time, but it makes it interesting to try to plan it out. And now I've got to see if I can find the 6 caches that I need in order to find 2 of each of the clues. And we go from there.
All right. So what he's talking about is there's different stages, and we were told initially that we'd have to find these stages in order, but we weren't quite sure exactly what that meant. So now we do, and that is you have to find that detective.
You've got
So-
that on your head now, don't in your
Some,
head.
some
do.
detectives are defective, but anyway.
Yeah, but I've got the my page on geocaching.com up here. So I found the detective, which is in the top left corner of this grid. So that's the first clue. And as soon as you get that, then it unlocks the footprint, the fingerprint, and the shadows. So I got 2. In each one of those, you have to find 2. So each cache has been assigned clues. And it seems like from what we've gathered, the caches are pre-assigned and locked in. So like Chris, you noticed that disabled caches were assigned clues.
Yes, I thought that was most interesting.
And that doesn't surprise me too much because it sounds like they went through the whole database, and anything that had not been archived but had been published, though I could be wrong, it might be even the ones that haven't been published because we can't see them. But every one of those was assigned one of these, what does it come out to be, 9 clues?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So 9 clues in total, and maybe there's even more. Now I can't remember exactly how it's played, but the 9 clues were pre-assigned to those caches, and you have to find in stage 1 just the one detective cache. And as I gather from the earlier blog post, each one of the new caches is going to earn the detective clue. So you can't post a whole bunch of caches and hope to get a whole bunch of the
No.
yeah.
And all events have the detective clue as well.
Correct. Events are only the detective clues.
Yep,
So you can't
that's
make
right,
your
yep.
way through with events this time.
Yeah, I'm hosting an event tonight actually, and that's got the clue on it. What interests me and is intriguing is if you do the event tonight, for instance, for myself, and get the detective clue, do the ones with the detective clue on them automatically change or upgrade to a different type of clue, or do they always stay as a detective?
No, and it's the same for everyone. It is. And GSM times 2 in the chat says all 4 of his disabled caches were assigned the detective. So it could be that anything that is not active gets the detective clue.
Right.
So that makes sense too.
Yes.
Chris, do you remember what clue was assigned to that one that you found that was disabled?
You know what? I got to go look for it again.
Okay.
I thought I was there and I wasn't.
Yeah. So yeah, the stage 1 is just the one of the one clue, so one cache. Stage 2, you need to find 2 of each of 3 clues, so 6 caches. And then you have 5 clues with 3 each for the third stage.
Right. So here I have, it was a traditional placed by Team Noltex in our area, and it has the detective clue on it.
Okay, so it sounds like anything that was not active, including the new submissions, because Wet Coaster says he has 2 in the queue for submission, both with the detective clue. So I think anything that was not active gets the detective clue.
Right. This cache I'm looking at, this particular one, was disabled June 3rd, and yet it still got the clue on it. So disabled more than a month ago.
Houston, Texas Dave says 15 jeweled caches. Did I misspeak on that one?
No, that's correct. We didn't say a number.
Oh, got it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, 15 in total.
So yeah, 15 in total. So in all, you're going to have to find 22 caches.
Yeah,
which
you've got to be selective.
Which seems pretty weak. But here's what starts to annoy me with this is, one, you have to use really the geocaching app. The website was way too confusing, and they might have a glitch that I don't know about, but at this point, it really drove me nuts trying to find anything. The nice thing, though, is it does give you a better and easier way to figure out what's going on the map around you. So that part is nice.
Well, you could use the website
to do some pre-planning.
And yeah, you could do some pre-planning. So if you know you're going to an area, you use the website, you turn on the filters, and you turn on the filters for that clue you're looking for. It has all the clues available.
I could not make it do the filter though. And that's one of those glitches that I was wondering about.
And then you could save that to a list, which then you could use any app to go find that list. It took me a while looking at the description on the web, the actual web page for the cache, to figure out if it had a clue in it or not. I mean, it didn't, I to be honest, I'm used to looking at the left-hand side of the page. So anything in that right column, that third of the page, I just don't worry about because I don't really use it.
Yeah. And that's where it is on the,
it's right underneath the log geocache, with your different lists.
Oh, interesting. Houston, Texas Dave says that if you have an Android or Apple, you will need to update your app, today's update, to make that work.
Yes. Yeah. I did that last.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't update mine, but it worked. Maybe it had been updated. Yeah,
it probably updated and you didn't know about it, because I don't think I did an update today.
I don't have my phone down here to check.
Yeah. But in any case, the app gives you that description of whether it has a clue or not right in line. It's the full width, just another one of the banners. On the website, it's off to the right side. But for me, where I've cleaned out so much of the area, it is really taking some work to go and find caches that meet these criteria.
Yep. Yeah, the 2 closest to me are tough puzzles that I have not been able to crack that have the clue on them. I'm like, yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, and that's just for the
You're doing this on purpose.
The detective clue. When you switch over, those are going to go away, and now your next one is going to be something else.
That's right. That's right. And so that's the reason why I hosted the event leading up to it on the very first day. So I've got a lot of let's say older school geocaches in the area that you just use like their Garmin and stuff as well. They don't actually use their smartphones. And so I didn't want them missing out on this new technology or this new souvenir. And so a lot of them are looking forward to having a look at it and what they have to do tonight. So I'll be basically step-by-step guide for them.
Well, and to be clear, you do not need the app to find the cache and do the logging. But in our opinion, you really do need the app if you're going to play this out in the field and do it yourself.
That's right.
Mhm.
And unless you sit down at first and sort out your caches in order, and only do like the first one first, and then come back home, and then
Well, like
do
Chris was suggesting, you go and do the finds on the website,
yes,
build your lists, and have different lists that you're loading into the GPS to find
That's
those, or whatever caching app you prefer. to
oh
find.
exactly.
So I think that's a great way to work, but seems to me to be a lot of extra effort that isn't really going to work so well for a lot of people, especially because
Yeah.
most of the time, if you're doing the GPS, you're going to have to actually connect to a computer of some type to move those files around.
Yes.
You can't selectively on most GPSs enable and disable sets of caches. But that doesn't say, to go into GSAC and put your clues in there, in the names or something.
Oh yes, you can change it. That's right. Yep.
So there's ways around it, but again, that's a lot of extra work.
Oh, it is. And this is the other thing I could think about as well, is that if you haven't actually found that first detective clue, can you actually search for any of the other clues in the
No,
location?
you cannot. I don't have the detective clue as of
No,
yet.
so you can't.
No, I can see
you
the other
can, I
clues.
believe, on the website.
Oh, you
No.
can?
No, you cannot. Okay,
No.
sorry,
So-
I was mistaken. Oh no, because I think it shows all clues, which includes the hiddens, or you can search for, limit it to the ones that you've.
So I'm screen sharing at the moment,
Yes.
and I can filter by clue. I can only click detective. The others are grayed out.
Right, but it wasn't. I found something. Maybe if you just uncheck it, it will show all clue types.
I can do. I mean,
yeah. So
oh, perhaps it
okay.
does.
Yeah, but that shows all clue types. So you have to have, and you don't know what type of clue type, so you
this
can't.
clue is hidden.
Right, so you can't go and pre-find that or
That's right.
define that next stage.
And that's what I was saying with Garmin's or dedicated GPS. You have to go out and find just the one in order to find out where the other clues are hidden, and then come back, log it online, and then do the 6 and then do the 15 separately.
So yeah, it's got some, right, but I think that's also kind of built into the gameplay where they're trying to slow down, because it is only 22 caches that we counted.
Yeah. 22.
So for a lot of people, that's going to be a weekend at most.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have already had it done. I thought they were kind of space them out. Like you get the detective this week, you get the clues next week, you get the gems the week after that. So, I'm looking here. The map I happen to pull is has a power trail on it, and it looks like the majority of them have a clue. So you could load that into your Garmin, go find them, and then selectively log them in order, right?
Yeah.
So that you could see, when you get back to your computer, you could say, okay, that one has the detective. I'm going to log that one first, and then it will show you what clues are available on the others.
Well, and to be clear, I think all caches have clues. They might just be the detective clue, but I don't think caches don't have clues.
You think every cache has a clue?
I think every cache has clues. However, you can't claim a clue on a cache that you already found, which is where people like myself are running into issues.
Right. Though it shows them, I guess I could filter out my finds.
But it's everyone has the same clue for that cache, which is a big deal. That's something that was asked and I was worried about, because if you try caching with a party like I do, I always cache with my wife. If we had different different clues, that would make a huge nightmare.
Yeah.
Kitty Catch said that she picked up the detective clue last night, planning to use Cache Torno to plan a trip tomorrow to pick up more clues.
Yes.
But selective logging is her plan. Not going to work for cachers that feel they must log their caches in the correct time order too.
I was going to say that because I've got some friends of mine who are that let's just say OCD about their cache order and how they log. As soon as they find it, they must log it. That they will do lab caches, but they'll never log a lab cache because the lab cache doesn't come up in your list of
Fine
finds
count.
in order.
Right.
Oh,
So there's this one guy that I know. He would have found easily because he's been to a few megas and stuff. You know, he would have easily found almost 100 labs, but he doesn't log any of them because they don't come up in his order.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
Well, I was just coming up with an idea for those caching only by GPS.
sure.
You don't have to go out, find one, come back home, find some more, go back out.
Yeah. Well, the whole trouble with that is you don't know what caches are what. And I do wonder if logging in a field node or something like that is going to work, because you do have to do these in stages. You will not earn the appropriate levels, those stages, if you don't do them in order.
That's right.
If you were to find like 5 of the jewel caches in the middle of stage 2, it's not going to recognize those as having found those clues.
No.
So I do question, and I'm not going to try it. Maybe someone has tried it accidentally or intentionally to see if you log, even if with the field note, if it is in order, is it going to activate correctly if you're just clicking through and doing the submit all kind of thing? You know, especially if you're using the automated systems through the API like GSAC or Cachely.
Cachely, yeah.
Yeah, where you're submitting, 30 logs all at once. Is it going to trigger correctly? My guess is yes. But that makes me a little nervous to the point where I'm going to suggest that you log in stages. So only log the first one, then log the next 5. If you're doing it as a GPS user, or like some people I know, if they prefer to do the finds when they get home, get to the keyboard, whatever. The trouble is, again, you're not going to find those next stages until you found the first stage.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean you can't necessarily have someone else go and do those searches for you.
So what you're saying is going out there, finding a heap of caches, and then just make sure you log them in the correct order.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking a lot of the GPS users would like to do.
Yes, yeah.
But you're going to need assistance to do that from someone who's already determined what those clues are in those caches. And I'm sure there's probably people who have already finished all of it.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, there's like the Sodak Zacks of the world, like,
Well, yeah, if you took a day off of work and you're doing this from the phone in an area where you have several caches that you've never found, you could easily probably pull this off in an hour, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Depending on the area.
Yeah. But you'd have to have the phone. You can't do it just with the GPS. You'd have to have a phone. You have to do it on the fly.
Exactly.
Yeah. And log one, and as you said, log one at a time, just so therefore then it does go through rather than the full group logging.
Yeah. And my impression is you want to do this one as a log on the fly, because that's when it activates, and you want to confirm that everything is done so that you can fill that grid and see, get that verification that everything is going through right, so that you're not running into some kind of problem.
Exactly, or some sort of glitch. That's right. I'll be getting mine this weekend, I think. I've got the weekend off, so I'll go for a nice drive somewhere.
Well, I'm hoping to do the same. I'm not sure that I can, but I'm crossing my fingers, and I wish you luck as well.
I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted.
And at this point, we don't know anything about that final puzzle.
No.
So, and when I click through to the souvenir for the first detective clue, it doesn't work for me. It gives me a 500 error. So
interesting.
I know there is a image for it because I've gotten the image on the phone.
Well, I wonder if you need to actually do some sort of puzzle of sorts in order to unlock that last one, like a,
Well, that's the whole thing is once you get the first 3, you're supposed to have the clues to unlock the vault.
Yeah, see, I'm not really a puzzler.
No, and I don't know how that works. I'm thinking you end up with a page on geocaching.com and probably on the app itself.
Yeah.
That's going to have you enter like the 3 digits or something, whatever that combination is.
Code or combination. Yeah.
Just to let you know, John Gardner says it didn't work for him either, being able to get to that. And we also have in the chat, Kitty Catch says, I think Darkside Dan in Canberra. Canberra?
Yeah, Canberra.
Yeah.
That's in Australia here.
Went out last night and got all the clues.
It wouldn't surprise me with him. He is an absolute nut. That bloke, seriously, he's incredible. He's incredible.
She goes on to say a lot of people are having trouble getting the souvenir last night at the event. I was the only one who got it when it logged it. Other people are deleting and re-logging, but still having trouble.
Right, because that does happen too with mega events and stuff. With the mega souvenir, sometimes you have to, delete the log and log it again. Like in Cincinnati, it happened as well. The Giga, you had to delete and then re-log again to try and get the souvenirs. That's a possibility.
And here's one of the things I believe: if you delete a log and relog that cache, it will not count that cache.
I think you're right.
So deleting, I think if it doesn't work, you're going to have to either find another cache or contact geocaching.com. But that is off my phone. That's what the actual image looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm not ruling out that the error 500 isn't part of that clue. Yeah. But the image does exist.
The number 5 could be the very first digit of the combination.
Well, it could be. It could be that the combination is multi-digit too. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, it could be that the 500 is part of it, and we just don't have enough information at this point to really speculate.
Exactly. Well, I was at a mega event last weekend down here in Wollongong in Australia, and we had our guest speaker there. It was actually Cully Long, for the what do you call it? How to Puzzle Cache book. And so now I'm good friends with Cully Long. So if I need a hand with any puzzles, it's like, here's this GC code. Have a look at this. So he might be able to help me with this one as well, I think.
Well, I've been known to do lots of the, can you help me with this puzzle? And I actually did one for to Limax this weekend, and he figured it out. I haven't had a chance to go back and, this is a very tricky one that's pretty obvious when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I just totally missed it. In part, it's because of Cachly, but I'm going to leave it at that.
We'll
just say it involved the source code, and Cachly does something that's very convenient for us, which is it only shows the description portion of the source code.
Yes.
And this was outside of that.
Outside the description. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's outside the description. But I'm not going to go any further than that, because if I actually do find the cache, I don't want anyone to.
People are gonna
get the spoiler
now.
I'm happy to give clues after I find it and I know that it's there, but not like on the air.
Geostalk. I love a geostalk.
All right, why don't we move on, because we've been on this for like almost half an hour, and we don't want to go too long. So, Chris, do you want to read Cachesaurus's email?
I would love to. Cachesaurus, I would assume, wrote in by email. And he says, I'll try to answer a few of the questions you asked for feedback on. I move nearly every trackable I find within a week. Well, good for you. That's far better than I do. I only take trackables I know I can move. However, I discover everyone I see. When I get to own a new trackable, I activate it ASAP. Then I set it on a mission soon after. I send out trackables, but space out releasing if I have a few I wish to send out. Sometimes a proxy tag, sometimes the real deal. It depends. They all follow the same format in the description format, and the trackable names are organized by numbers before the name, like 2 whatever name, 3 whatever name, where 2 are coins in the personal collection and 3 may be ones traveling, and so on. That's actually ingenious when you think about it. Allows you to quickly sort what you're looking for. He goes on, I manually dip log a personal trackable for each family member who helps at a specific cache to track their mileage, and my hope log later Oh, and my hope, log later as they are too young. I also dip log one trackable at FTF and one at events. I hide the odd one in my social media and cache pages. We love trackables, even set the PC to run PC Pocket Cat. No,
Pocket.
it's PQ.
I think probably PQ, yeah.
PQ, yeah.
Set PQ to run where they are and spend a trip moving them around. I do a little medic on a trackable if I can to try to share a picture if I can't do much for their mission.
Right.
Very nice.
That is nice.
And as I mentioned last time, I've been doing the state park series, which are bigger containers again. A lot of them have been ammo cans so far, but I was really surprised at how many trackables I'm finding in those caches, and they're moving. So I've got a bunch that I've moved around. Got a couple to an event. Have one that I'm going to take with me for a couple more because I'm hoping to get some photos because it wants photos. But it's really kind of inspiring, and I'm thinking I might actually release another trackable.
Yeah.
Good for you. I've done. I've started a Geo tour, not specifically for the Geo tour, but for the Delorme pages, and all of them were the plastic ammo cans, so they were big enough to have trackables in them, and like you said, most of them did, which actually surprises me.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we have bit large caches here, and we have travel bug hotels that are empty over here. So, yeah, a lot of people. What happens at mega events over here? I'm not sure if it does over there as well, but a lot of people when they're traveling to a mega is they'll go along and they'll just scoop up the entire load of trackables because at most megas over here you drop in a trackable and you get one entry into a prize. You see, so you drop in 10 trackables and you get like 10 raffle tickets for a prize. And so it encourages more people to bring the trackables to the event, and pull the trackables out, that sort of thing. So yeah, I love trackables myself. I mean, and everyone loves a hidden trackable too, by the way. Just saying.
What do you mean by
that?
Nothing at all.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
No, nothing.
Nothing for those listening.
That's right. That's right.
You're watching.
That's right. And I've noticed as well, there's some people over here, I'm not sure if it's over there as well, but in their logs, at the bottom of their logs, they've got their little pro forma, thanks for the cash and all that sort of stuff. But it actually says this log is trackable, and they have a little tracking code for their log as well. Like, I know, right? So you can discover their log.
How can a log be trackable? I mean, okay, I know you can put a tracking code on anything, but that means they just have a trackable code that is only for their logs.
For discovery. Yep, that's it. That's all it's
interesting.
For. Yeah.
Yep, well, it's the same thing that I do with mine back here. They just have
no, but you don't put that on every log that you do.
No, that's right.
But I do it on every vlog that I do, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I like how you did that, Daryl. Those vlogs of yours.
But then again, as well, a lot of people ask me. They have a question about with trackables, the like coins and stuff, how they put it in. You actually have to put that into your collection, so people don't take they can only discover it. They can't take it from you.
You have to mark it collectible, then put it in your collection.
Exactly. Absolutely. Right. A lot of people don't understand that aspect of it too with trackables. So
I'm just
a bit of a tip.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I've got a heap of GA coins in my collection. Oh, I love the coins. Did you say you had a new coin as well, Chris? What was it?
Are you talking about my new Geo sculpture?
Yeah, look. Oh, wow. That's sensational. That is gorgeous.
We have here in Washington State the Tri-Cities GeoCoin Challenge. This is their 10th anniversary. And they said this is the coin they wanted to make for the very first one. And really, it's not so much of a coin as it is a sculpture. Each one of these rings, I'm trying to, are movable. So you can, put them in any pattern you want. It's all hanging from a thread in the middle.
Yep.
So this is the first coin that I received that has a tot with it.
Yeah.
Because there are two screws that hold this neck.
Oh, right.
So it's basically a coin at the base.
Yes.
A long, thin geocoin here.
Mm-hmm.
you've got the arm that comes up, and then you've got the actual coin here that looks like an atom, what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
And it's got 2 screws in the bottom, so they gave you 2 screws and a screwdriver
So you
to
can
put it
actually
together.
assemble it yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. No,
Yeah,
that's
that is amazing.
that's amazing. I like that. It's the same as the trifecta coin as well from HQ. That's like a 3-dimensional coin as well.
Mhm.
And yes, I saw you had one of those, Daryl. I got one as well. I
Yeah,
have done
this
the
we want to. I want to say we already did on the show for Discovery.
That's right.
This one comes assembled,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
it's welded or whatever together.
yeah.
I
It's,
guarantee this is not solid though.
no. It's weighty though. It's got some weight to it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah,
essentially 4 geocoins glued together. So
Correct.
you know how
correct.
big geocoins are,
Exactly.
weight wise. So
Yeah. So no, I like that one. That's probably my favorite.
One of the first multi-part coins I had was the Pi Day coin, where you
Mm.
can take the pie out of the shell there.
Of
This
course you
this is
can.
orange, so this is the pumpkin pie.
Yeah. And you don't have the Aussie meat pie there. I've noticed that when I was over at Cash Advance, her shop, in Lisa's shop, because
Yeah,
Lisa's got all those on display as
exactly,
well. Yeah.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
you
but
can
yeah,
get the pumpkin or the lemon meringue or the
no, you got to have a meat pie for an Aussies. You got to have a meat pie.
well, we can do that. I'll start talking to Lisa now.
Yeah.
yeah,
old
that's going to be
Australian meat
another year of Pi Day.
pie. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if I have some here that there's some that, magnetically attach different pieces.
Mm-hmm.
There was one, it was a geocoin challenge, and the night cache, if you went and did the night cache series, magnetically attached to the coin, just like an aluminum. No, it can't be an aluminum trackable, but a very thin trackable that attached magnetically that did the quarter moon or the crescent moon shape on there, which was really quite nice.
Right. That's interesting. No, I do love my geocoins. I do love them. A bit of a kleptomaniac when it comes to the coins and the pass tags as
Oh,
well.
really?
I'll
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
not to show mine to you when I see
So
you.
if you happen to be in an event with C. Michelle and you find a coin or path tag missing, you know where to start your
Correct.
search.
Correct. No, I'm not. If it's already activated and I can't actually activate it and put it virtually in my collection as well, I don't do that sort of stuff. I've got to have it both. I'm a bit like CDO like that, not OCD
Well,
because it's in correct order.
here's this one. You can see the 2 magnets on it,
Oh yes.
and then it has this crescent moon piece that attaches magnetically.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep.
That's really quite nice.
Yeah, and I saw a few videos on Facebook. They're not actual geocoins, but they could be made into a geocoin.
Mhm.
And the ones that have little hidden compartments in them, and they slide out, or they put together, or they've got moving parts as well. They're pretty cool.
I was given a shuttle geocoin,
Mm-hmm.
and if you lift the, I can't do
What
it.
number is it?
Well, I don't know.
Well, it's still in one piece. So
STS 107.
right.
I can't.
Houston, Texas. Dave says it's tradition to give Aussies geocoins for good luck.
It is. Who said that? Houston texter. Houston, I love you, mate. It definitely get good luck, and I'll give you my address later on. Not a problem. It'll probably be in the show notes. My postal address in the show notes.
Send geocoin donations to.
Exactly right.
Now, I'm sorry. I must have offended you. I didn't give you a geocoin when I saw you last.
No, I got a trackable.
Will you forgive me?
Yeah, we did give him a trackable.
You gave me a trackable.
I'll have to give you 2 next time just to make up for it.
Yes. Of course. Actually, we had great caches. Their names are from West Virginia. Lovely couple that I met on my trip across there as well, and they were here in Australia this week for the mega. And then I met up with them yesterday, and they did the most easterly cache in Australia in Byron Bay. And we did that together and had some lunch. And they're a really nice couple as well. And I gave them an Australian little trackable for their little travels around. So the Australian flag and stuff on it too. It's pretty cool. They're a really nice couple. They're from West Virginia. So Close to you guys, not really.
Well, closer to me, but still
Yeah.
too far that I can't make it down for like a weekend trip.
Yeah.
It's, I think, about a full day of driving each way. So
Yep. West Virginia's
probably not quite.
Far. It's not that far.
No. And I want to get out there for some of WV Tim's geo tours.
Yeah, he's got the new ones, doesn't he? So that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely interested. Don't have the time.
Yes. Well, I think I did about 40 of his going across on during one day in the Panhandle there before Cincinnati. So that was really cool. That was an awesome day.
I can only imagine because I have not had the opportunity.
See, look at this. I come across the other side of the world.
WV Tims. We did them together, Daryl.
Did we?
Yes. In St. Louis.
Oh, that was right. Those were his.
Those were his. Or at least
so we really didn't get a chance to do those caches.
Well, you stood in line and, other people did them and handed you the log. So
yeah, we did the cache.
Dave brings up that GeoCoin Fest is in Houma, Louisiana this year, if you want to go.
Oh, that's right. You guys got actual GeoCoin
Fest. Yeah. Are they still doing the? Yes, it is. Are they still doing the international one though? Because for a while
there's a GeoCoin Fest EU. Yes.
Yeah.
JP is leading up.
Okay. Awesome. So yeah, there's one on the European continent and one on the North American continent.
Wow. There's rumors as well. Here's this and it's actually just a rumor at this point in time, but there could be one coming to Australia. But
nice.
It's very much just a rumor.
Yeah, and it's much harder to get megas happening down there because of the population distribution.
HQ have changed the rules. Did you know about
this? Did they? I did not know.
The rules for countries with less cash dense players. So New Zealand, Australia. So now we only need 300 Willa 10s in order to log it as a mega or to apply for mega status. So 300 for us, not 5. So I thought that
makes sense, but it seems unfair at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to start Aussie Woodstock, says Houston Dave.
Oh, we do.
That would be awesome.
Oh, wow. Yes.
But you basically need to handicap it for extreme cases because, how are you ever going to get a mega event down in Antarctica?
This is true.
You're not going to get 300 people there if you try.
Yeah.
They've had events down in Antarctica, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure they've had events, but you're not going to get 300 to 500.
No.
I mean, if I was traveling down that way, I'd host an event.
5 may be a mega event.
Yeah. And even then, 3 of them would be muggles.
They count. Just get them to sign the log.
That's right. Brand new accounts. That's all they need.
Yikes. All right, let's move on. Tick Magnet sent us some feedback on the website. The type of geocaching I do tends to be a bit more hard on my iPhone, and my Montana 65T has given me some problems, especially in cold weather and hot weather and rain. I also have bits of sand get wedged in the edge of the touchscreen, so I've been wanting a new GPSR with buttons. I also travel and geocache alone, so I've been looking at getting an InReach. When you talked about the Garmin GPS Map 66i, I thought this would be the way to go. So with Dividend, it was about $540 from REI. So far, I really like it. Super accurate and easy to use. Syncing the GPS Map 66i with my iPhone was quick and easy. Only problem I have is my fingers keep going to the screen. It's everything I need in one device. Thanks so much for bringing it to my attention.
Nice. I can relate to that. I, use non-touch screen devices as if they were touch screen, thinking, well, they should be. And why doesn't this work? Oh yeah, I've got to go down here and use the buttons. But, in an environment like that, if you're getting sand on the screen, or we've all seen the Garmin touch screens act up in rain when they get wet. So, the ones with the buttons, they're the way to go.
I really want the GPS to have buttons and my phones to have touchscreens.
Yep.
That's all there is. But yeah, I'm very excited that he's had good luck with it. So, it might be on the Christmas list next year.
Mm. See, that's the other thing. We don't have the variances here in Australia in terms of temperature, like in the snow and the really cold where your devices play up. So we're kind of lucky like that here as well. So yeah, we don't have any real need for it as such. I mean, in the rain, yeah, a little bit, but still.
Well, you would probably benefit with like the sand and that kind of stuff, the debris.
Yes and no. I mean, I only ever use my iPhone. Only ever.
Sure.
I'm just
Well,
an iPhone user, full stop.
And let's face it, most of the geocachers listening to the show are iPhone or Android cachers.
That's right.
They
That's
don't
right.
use the GPSR. And
Mhm.
I've got several that I never use.
Mm.
Even when I want to use it, I'll load them up, take them with me, and it just hangs around my neck. And
It looks
occasionally I'll remember to look at it.
Make it a trackable, Daryl. So it's at least got one job it could do.
Yeah, no kidding. This brings up an interesting point, though. We were doing the state park series, and a lot of those parks, we did not have any signal. We were like flirting with it, but when we got there, we had no signal, and especially once we got into the park, we lost it. So I did have the maps from downloaded from Cachly.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing was I just also got a new iPad mini to take along and use for bigger maps in the car and whatnot.
Yeah.
For the planning stuff. I've got the CarPlay, so we use my iPhone still with Cachly to do the routing through Waze, which failed me several times.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to switch to Apple Maps or Google Maps because Waze kept crashing. It does not like going to locations that it doesn't see any roads. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
But in any case, the issue that we ran into was mostly the maps that we're getting from Cachly have no indication whatsoever of where you might be on the trails.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a problem. However, on my iPad mini, the maps did have the trails.
Right. What maps do you use?
It's the maps downloaded from Cachly. So I think there was an update to Cachly's maps, the offline maps.
Yeah.
That I have to go and somehow re-download those.
Right. Yeah, because I'm one of those that I bought the new maps as well. And yeah, they're good. I like in Australia here we've got like trails galore. It's very much like the open cycle maps I used to use before that.
When I think they're based on the same map systems.
Yeah.
But I believe the problem was I pretty much downloaded the maps on my iPhone within a week, I think, of the launch of the new Cachly.
Right.
So probably they had the maps in there, but they hadn't gotten some of the updates in to turn on things like the trails
and stuff.
Yeah. It could be that there's different versions that I'm missing too, because I've got them by state in both. So I don't know. I've got to play with it and figure that out. But that's one of those things that I didn't expect. But we had all of these caches saved in the offline list.
Yes.
What I didn't do and should have was actually go and figure out which parks we were going to and get the rest of the caches in that park.
Yeah.
So when we went, we only found like one cache, the one that's for the Geo Tour in a lot of these parks that we'll probably never get back to.
And you walked past how many without even looking for them?
Exactly. So that said, we did in several of the parks find multiple caches, but it was more challenging than I had anticipated because I had not thought ahead, as we always tell you to do, to download all of those caches.
Yeah. And there's nothing worse that feeling of coming home, realizing you had actually walked past multiple GZs without stopping, without logging, without looking for. Yep.
And all I would have to do is on Cachly, and I actually thought about doing this when we were looking at stopping for lunch, but had other things I was busy doing, was on Cachly, go to that next cache when we had the service, and go save this one, save this one, save this one. Just mark them all and save them to the list.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do. Or just go to the park, load all the caches, and save all of the visible caches to the list. Either way, it wouldn't have taken much work, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, but you're kicking yourself for it now.
Not really, because we still spent way too much time out that day. However, we were only planning on getting 3, maybe 4 of the parks, and we got 6.
Oh, well,
so yeah, we did well. We're very happy.
It helps when your partner is actually into geocaching as well.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
That makes all the difference in the world.
I've got friends of mine who say, I'm allowed to get one. I'm going on holidays and I'm allowed to get one a day. I think to myself, oh man, I so feel for you.
Yeah, I totally get it. All right, you know what? We really should be going, but I don't want to keep these stories waiting too much longer. So let's jump on this one. GPS World has an article just from a couple of days ago that the second of the GPS 3 satellites has been encapsulated for a July 25th launch.
It's right around the corner.
So, yep, the second of the GPS 3 satellites is about to launch. I don't know how many of our listeners are actually excited about this news, but I imagine quite a few of you are excited to see the 3 satellites go up.
Well, I know you are, Daryl.
I am excited because I'm looking for that better signal.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons, to be honest, why I'm not anxious to buy a GPSR right now.
So there's nothing worse than that you get a brand new geocacher with the app on their phone, and you're within 3 meters of the cache, and then they go, the cache is out by 3 meters on their logs.
Well, I'm looking at just the improved penetration, because it is supposed to do better. You're not supposed to get the refractions in the city that we're used to as well.
Oh, right. That's going to help.
It's going to be so much more helpful. And already, if you're doing that urban caching, the smartphones work so much better because they're using more than just the GPSR signal. When we get this new stuff, sad but true, the GPSs are going to lag behind on the chipsets because it takes them longer to move the stuff out. So we're probably going to end up with smartphones having this improved chipset sooner. And for at least 3 or 4 months, the smartphones, if you get a current smartphone at that time, chances are it's going to be much more accurate in almost every kind of condition once the GPS 3s actually go online, and if you have the coverage. Now, if you don't have the coverage from the GPS 3 satellites, it's not going to make a difference.
No.
You have to have the 3s.
Yep. I do like that idea in terms of the urban stuff, and not just for geocaching, but also just for route.
For navigation, absolutely.
I mean, when I was in New York, I got picked up by, his name is Russell G, a geocacher over there, and he drove me across to Jersey to pick up my van. Now, I picked up my van. Now, I had no service. I had no signal. I had no GPS. I had nothing. I had him in front of me. I said, do not lose me. He went by navigation because he lives in Long Island. So he went by navigation, thought he'd take me through Manhattan. I don't know why, but he did. Yeah, and he got lost because the GPS was bouncing around through the buildings in Manhattan. So I'm there following him, and he's there lost. I'm like, where am I? What am I doing?
I love telling the story of when I was in San Francisco. I know so much better, but it was my first time in San Francisco to the headquarters, and I was walking into the office because I had the time and wanted to get some of the feel and figure out some of the lay of the land. So I'm listening to podcasts, put Google Maps in my pocket, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know I should have turned by now. Pull out the GPS or pull out the app on the phone, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't have any idea where I am.
Oh, what?
And now I don't either. So, it took me an extra half hour to walk to work that day.
The thing is, though, I mean, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day. I went for a road trip, and I said, what did we used to do before electronic GPS? It was just a map. You know, yeah, and then you turn the map upside down. You remember that, like in the book, you turn it upside down to travel the which way with the route in which you're going. So you say right or left, up ahead.
Mhm.
Yep.
Surely, Chris, you're not that young. You'd remember those days, surely.
Oh, I remember those days. In fact, we were just out on the Olympic Peninsula and there was no cell service.
Mm.
And, we were using a map handed to us by one of the, entrances of the national park. It was like, okay, let's use a map. Let's
Yeah,
do
old school.
it. Worked very well.
It's very
Yeah,
rich.
let's run through some of these comments in the chat real quick. GSM times 2 said that Waze was giving him issues with CGO recently, and he doesn't know why. So it might be an actual code bug that was introduced recently that wasn't there before. And then Kitty Catch has been using the Galileo, now Guru offline maps, and that works well with Cashly. So that's something I'll have to look into. I never gave that much thought. Houston, Texas Dave says he uses GPSR more often in the state parks, and I agree that's probably preferable. And I would be doing that if I was not doing the state park geo tour, because I want all of that other stuff that comes with the smartphone, and it's just so much easier, especially for the navigation between the parks. White Coaster, I would like to use my GPSR more, but I'm getting used to the phone interface. That's a common refrain. Curious Kiwis, we actually like it that the GPSR is not 100% accurate. Searching for a cache whilst being near it is part of the fun and adventure. Don't want my GPS pinpoint to say it's half a meter. And I think we all agree, am I correct, that we're not excited about the GPS as being that accurate that it takes you right to the cache, but we're more accurate about it being the better signal and more accurate when it's not as accurate, like in the urban settings.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
For geocaching, we're probably good enough right now.
Yeah.
As far as the optimum accuracy, it's that we don't often get it.
That's right. That's right. And let's be honest. I mean, I know myself. I get to within, say, 5 meters, which is 20 foot away from a location, and I put the phone away. I then look up. I look around. I want to see it myself from a distance. Especially those hidden in plain sight ones. They're my favorites. And so, yeah, I do the same thing. I put the phone away when I'm about 20 foot away, and then just let my eyes do the searching. So,
well, and tell me if you're the same way. And I think Chris, you might be as well. I tend to go caching from the satellite view.
Oh, no.
And what I do is I just use it to kind of get a feel. Okay, it's over in this area. Here's my landmarks. I'm just going to walk over that way, and I'll put down my phone, especially if it's one that there's some good identifiable landmarks. I put the phone away even like 100 feet away.
Wow. And, no, I don't. And that's probably a negative for me, is that I don't actually go via satellite view at all.
See, the satellite view kind of spoils it.
Yeah.
But I like it because it does allow me to put down the phone.
True. And let's be honest, if we're doing some of these trails and some sort of, hikes and whatnot, you always get to the edge of that cliff and it's another 10 meters away and you're like, oh, I'm at the wrong level.
Well, and that's really what got me started with the satellite maps, is looking for those things that don't appear on the maps, like the parking lots or the pull-offs.
Yes. Or the buildings, for instance, as well.
Yeah. And that big massive fence that happens to be there or whatever. Chris, what do you do? Are you actually doing the satellite maps?
It depends on where I am and how good my cell signal is. I will load the standard maps when I've got 4G, just because the
speed
satellite views take so much longer to load.
Right.
I've got good LTE. I can use satellite, but I tend not to because I'm using the device also to navigate there. So I tend to use just the standard maps.
All right, let's move on because it is getting late. Ryan asked how many GPS 3 satellites are needed for them to activate. That's kind of a two-stage question. Really, they can get one up there tested and they'll turn it live. So they're going to activate the satellites themselves to augment the existing constellation as soon as they're ready. So there's no real number. However, if I understand correctly, you will need 3 of the satellites, the GPS 3 satellites in view to take advantage of the new improved signal, because they're the only ones that have it, and you will need 3 satellites to get that fixed, just as you always have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your understanding as well, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The 3 will work with the current 2F.
Absolutely. And even older, it would work all
Right.
the way down to the, I think, the originals, because it's not, no, it will not, as I recall, work with the original satellites, because the originals, the original Series 1 satellites, which I don't remember what they were called.
Don't think they're up there anymore, but
No, they're all, I believe, decommissioned at this point. But there was something in the software in the signal on those first ones that they wouldn't recognize the 2Fs, even if I remember that correctly.
But I mean, it's really your device that needs to be updated to understand the improved signals coming from the Series 3.
Yeah.
It's going to give you more data and better accuracy, but your device, even if you get a new GPSR that will use the Series 3 satellites, it will still understand the Series 2. You're not going to be
right. And it's not as if the older devices are going to have issues with the Series 3 satellites. As long as they could talk with any of the current satellites, you'll continue to talk with the 3s. This is supplemental. This is not replacing any of the functionality.
Right. It's improvement without replacement.
Wow, the chat room is going wild tonight, guys. I love it. Keep that coming. But we are going to have to move on because it's getting late.
Yes.
And we have
it's only midday.
Well, it's getting early for you, right? No. It's almost lunchtime for you.
Yeah,
we got to get you fed.
After 12. Yeah. Well, so
all right. So another article in GPS World: China plans to complete the Baidu 3 system by 2020. So this is going to be 35 satellites in the constellation that's going to give better coverage inside buildings, canyons, and that kind of stuff. Just like we're talking about with the 3 and with the Galileo system. And this is the 3rd system. And as I understand it, these are complete rehashes. They're starting over with each one. So they're not messing around. But I think from what I'm reading, this is going to be the first of their constellations that's going to be global coverage. Previously, they'd been regional.
Right.
So eventually, we may have the Chinese satellites to help augment the Russian, the U.S., and the Europeans.
Mm-hmm. See, the world unites as one. I love it. through satellites and GPS.
There you go.
Oh, geez. You know,
the world actually just
you guys actually do a show on the on how the satellites go around the sphere of the Earth or around the flatness of the Earth.
Well, we've had a few shows on the GPS system and all kinds of stuff, and Limax is our expert on that, and I've still lost track of most of what he's taught us.
Yeah,
we haven't done anything on flat Earth.
No, that's
no.
right.
As far as GPS is going. Yeah.
How does GPS work on flat Earth? It's interesting.
That's a little easier. They just use the iBeacons.
Let's be honest though, if the Earth was actually flat, don't you think all the cats of the world would knock everything off the edge by now?
Oh, absolutely. and we'd certainly spill all that water off the edge.
Exactly. It'll be gone.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And see, Michelle, it's been a pleasure having a chance to talk with you once again.
Thank you.
Never get enough of that.
That big news is that I'm heading back over again next year.
What?
I kind of thought that was going to happen, and I really wanted to get into some more talk about 2020.
Of course, but no, heading over for not just the 2020, but they may look at being a move, maybe looking at happening in the near future. Just saying.
Really?
Yes, but we'll see. Your visa.
Now I'm really intrigued.
Yes. So your visa system is incredible. Well, have me on a show next time, and I'll tell you a bit more next year. How's that
Definitely.
sound?
Well, we definitely would love to get you on for like an international travel show.
Yes.
So for those people who are looking at how to travel to the U.S., This
Yep.
is someone who's done it the right way.
Exactly
An RV.
right. In an RV and also with the correct visas as well. Oh, they're a headache. But anyway.
They are.
And you're coming from a friendly country.
I know, right? I can only imagine if I was coming from a non-friendly country.
Yeah,
Shit.
imagine how bad it is if you're coming from one of the Middle Eastern countries.
Exactly right. Exactly. No, I've traveled around New Zealand, Australia, and also now the US. So, yeah, I'd love to come and have a chat to you later about the traveling whilst caching. So
Awesome. Hey, and you've also got some other stuff you're doing. Why don't you plug that before we let you go?
Oh, well, of course, I've still got the YouTube channel, See My Shell, but I have now got my own podcast, the Australian podcast, a Geocaching Down Under podcast, and that's only once a month, though, not like you guys doing it weekly. That's just insane. Well, I get just enough for a monthly podcast, and it's normally in the first week of the month, and we do the same thing, go live on YouTube as well, and then pull the audio from that and do the audio podcast separately. So, yes, Geocaching Down Under podcast. There you go.
Thanks so much. Now, we don't have our show scheduled yet for next week, but there is going to be one next week. However, in 2 weeks, we're going to be finding out more about the rebirth of Geo Live, which has an all new name now. It's well, I shouldn't say all new, but a very similar but new name, Geo Go.
Yeah, I'll be definitely looking at that one because I've got friends who are really intrigued on that. So
that I like the old version for its capabilities.
Yeah,
but it was one of those ones that I had some issues with the various apps various devices that I tried it on, and I started to get my head around it just about the time that the Nexus 5 that I was using on it, stopped working.
Because everyone wants a cachely version for their Android, and that was what I was looking at towards being. So I'll definitely catch that show, Daryl. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it does have the Where I Go player built in, and it also has the TV scanner. So it's kind of that one-stop shop that so many cachers really hope for.
Yeah, it's got some very nice features built in, all baked in, as we say.
Yeah, and I'm very anxious to see the new version, which I've actually not seen at all. So this is going to be an exciting show for us.
Well, until then, make sure you check out the Cacheamaniacs website at cacheamaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes from this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cacheamaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cacheamaniac shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cacheamaniac shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Daryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2019 by Daryl Wattenberg, all rights reserved.
Cache with the Cacheamaniac.